All right, peace and blessings, family. I'm coming to y'all this evening to share some films with y'all. I was asked to do this, and so I'm going to try this out. People who really know me know. I'm trying to set something out over here, y'all. So give me just a minute. People who really know me know that I've always been into film, to black film to be exact, not just any film, but I've always really been into black film. And with that being said, I'm going to share with you all some films tonight, like 15, probably like 14 films. I just came up with 14. But give me just a minute. I got to make sure I share this. So give me just a minute. I have to do two shares. Um, One here. Hold on, family. I hope y'all having a great evening. I'm really, the films I'm going to be sharing with you all tonight. They're from the late 1960s and in the 70s. And I'm only going to share like 14, but I have so many films, and I'm going to be kind of giving you a little backdrop to why I've chosen these films, and how they made it to my list. When I was coming up in the 80s, I watched. I'm one of those people who I love history, and I really love to know what was happening before me, so I can understand what's happening right now. And black films did that for me. Hold on, family. Black films did that for me. And so what I'm gonna do tonight is that y'all gonna see me turn to the side because sometimes it doesn't allow me to, be tripping. So anyway, so these are films with my sister. We would always watch these films. I mean, that's what we did when we were coming up. And then be very honest with a lot of people. I wasn't one of those people who was really into like gangster rap and stuff like that. Nothing against people who were. It just wasn't. That's not what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? And so these are a lot of these films I watched in my teen years. Then I rewatched them again in my you know later years. I learned so much. So if y'all give me just a minute, I'm gonna start sharing these, and I just want to put these out. So these are black films from the 1960s and 1970s. So this is late 60s. These are must watch to me. Must watch. Because I learned so much. I mean, so much. I mean, they these films did so much for me. And because I was a person who constantly
Films.
talked to my elders, um, these, they explained a lot. So sometimes I'll hear people talk about a time period and they haven't studied the time period, or they haven't interviewed anybody who lived in the time period. They never been to any great lectures. I've heard Dr. John Henry Clark speak. I've heard a lot of folks, people was sharing with me what life was like for them in that time period. And sometimes I watch people and they don't really know. They really don't know. And so hopefully this will help you. The first film is called Uptight. It came out in 1968. And this film is about an African American man betraying his best friends. They're supposed to be like black militant people for some money to help feed his girlfriend's children. And then it becomes an object of a manhunt by the militants, but also by the police as well. And this it has a lot of all these films have great actors: Dick Anthony Williams, Ruby Dee. Oh God, I forgot the one dude that's right on the thing. But Uptight is a really good movie, and sometimes it'll help you to understand what was happening in those times. And what I liked about black films from this period is that they attempted to tell a story in some of these films that you never heard of, because some of them were like they were really having messages, and so of course they didn't get pushed out there like that. But Uptight was a really good film. I enjoyed watching Uptight. I really did. I watched it a few times. I was one of those kids who would be in the house with their VHS or whatever and be trying to watch all of these movies, trying to find them all. This is a really, really good movie. Um, the next movie I want to share with you all is Nothing But a Man. This film was produced in 1970. This has Abby Lincoln, the jazz singer, and Ivan Dixon. This is the brother that was in Car Wash. He was the older guy in Car Wash who kind of talked Bill Duke down from robbing the place. But this is about a black man finding his way. This was directed by Melvin Van Peebles, and Godfrey Cambridge is in here. This is a really good. Yaphet Kotto is in here. This film is really good, and it's about a black man basically struggling for his identity. He meets a good woman. She's like a church woman, and they really struggle. Well, he struggles with his identity, his issues with his dad. He deals with that. His issue with his son. Like he ends up marrying his woman and going to go get his son. It's a really good film. It's called Nothing But a Man. It's a really good film. You gotta watch it. Okay. Classic. This is The Watermelon Man, produced in 1970. It's about an extremely bigoted white man who's played by Godfrey Cambridge. And you'll see Godfrey Cambridge is the brother up top, the brother at the bottom. That's him as a white man. This movie is a classic, family, because he's a bigot. There he is with his wife and his kids, and then he goes to sleep and he wakes up, and he's not just black, y'all. Let's just keep it real. He is Godfrey Cambridge black. He's beautifully blackly melanated. And he talks about, it shows all the pitfalls of this, him looking at what our reality is. Like he runs for the bus every morning, and the morning that he turns white and he runs for the bus, he gets, the whole neighborhood jumps on him. Classic movie, just all kind of stuff. I'm not gonna lie. One of my favorite lines in there that makes me laugh is when he goes to the shop to get his vitamin drink, and he kind of has that same arrogant that he had as a bigot. And there's a black man that works there, and he's basically, basically telling him, like the good job you got. Like he's bigging him up because he thinks he's a black man with a good job. And then when he realized that there's soy sauce in this mix, because he thinks this is a part of what made him dark, he gets loud. And then the black guy who works behind the counter says, "Shh, they don't want us in these places as it is." And then he says, "I'm not black, I'm Cuban." So it's like, this is a classic movie, classic. And I remember showing this to some young ladies I mentored back in the early 2000s, and they were dying. Like, this movie is a classic Godfrey Cambridge classic. You got to watch it. The next one is called The Bus Is Coming. This was shot in 1971. It's about a brother who comes home from the Vietnam War and is in Watts, and he has to mourn the death of his brother who has been killed by two racist cops. Now, look, y'all, this is 1971. That's the year I was born. So how do we have movies with these themes? So for those people who think what's happening with, in our community is some new kind of thing, you got to know your history. Now, this is just in a film, but if they're talking about cops killing people back then, like that should make you think of like, well, what's really going on? Like, this must have really been happening for a while. So I just feel like, wow, when you see stuff like this is a really good film. And so it's called The Bus Is Coming. Most of these films y'all can see on the YouTube. Straight up, you can see these on the YouTube. The next film is called Speed Up Time. This was produced in 1971. And there is a beat in here I watched somebody sample, and this had to be back in the 90s. It's about a Black Panther. That he wants to join the Black Panthers. His girlfriend begs him to take her away from the ghetto, but he does things his own way. So it's like he has to deal with all of these things that's going on. I realized that I love a lot of films from the 70s because I'm a child of the 70s. I was born in the 70s. And there's something about what I remember about the 70s is Black folks loving each other. I mean, loving each other, spending time. That's what I remember the most about the 70s. When somebody would say, "Hey, little sister, hey, little brother," that's what I remember about the 70s. So a lot of these films are straight about the 70s. Another film, one of my favorite films, The River Niger. produced in 1972, all-star cast: Cicely Tyson, James Earl Jones, Lou Gossett, Glenn Thurman. And this is another thing, a young man comes home from being in the military, and his dad thinks he's going to be a big-time pilot. And then there's a twist. There's also, like, people try to have their plan together to how they going to get with the man. And it's really, really good. Again, just kind of explaining somewhat of the struggle that we had in this country trying to find our way. And also, what I like about the 70s is when, for some Black people, they were starting to identify with being who they were. Like we were African. We're Africans basically, and that's, I think I'd love to see like how we discover that, and you'll see a lot of that in movies that are in the 70s. So um, watch Stats. Now, this is a concert that happened in 1972, and blessed memory, makes me think of my sister Renee. One night she was up late and this came on, and she came and woke me up. It was like, you gotta watch this. This is your stuff. So this is about a huge concert. It was like the Black Woodstock. It was just shot in Los Angeles. It had Isaac Hayes, the Staple Singers. It had oh God, it had like a lot of superstars of that day from Stats Records, but then it also had like Jesse Jackson's in there with an afro. Richard Pryor's in there, and then they have these um, interviews that they did with people around different subject matters, around Black relationships, love, marriage. All of that is in there. All of that is in there. It's called the Watch Stats. Isaac Hayes is like the last person who goes on in the concert. Lou Ingram is in there. The guy, loving you is wrong. I don't want to be right. He's in there. Like, I mean, but through the music, and this is what I grew up in. So I have a different idea of consciousness. Rufus was there, get break down for me. But he's in there. There's a lot of folks in there. The sister, bring the boys home. She's in there. But in between the concerts, family, they're talking to Black people about their lives. Hello? Oh, that's Benjamin. So they're talking to people. Benji? Okay. Yeah, I'm live. That's all. They're talking to people about their lives, what they think about things. And it's such an awesome film. It's called Watch Stats. And you can see this on the YouTube. All of these films are on there. And then there's a film called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Hold on, family. Sorry, family, I had to let somebody in the door. So then there's the Spook Who Sat by the Door. I really love this film. This is based off of a book. And this is a really good movie. This is on YouTube. And it's the story about the first CIA. I mean, that's how it's written. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of gems in here. And this is a really good film to watch. I've seen it probably like over 1,000 times. This is also on the YouTube. And it's definitely a film you should watch. It's starring Lawrence Cook and Paula Kelly, the late Paula Kelly. So great film. This film is on YouTube. Then the next one is called Five on the Black Hand Side, 1973. In contrast with most of the Vitus-led Black exploitation films, in this period, this low-budget effort basically looks at humanity and domestic drama in our community. And Gothy Cambridge is in this, and so is a lot of people. Walona's in there from Good Times. Janet DuBois is in there. Glenn Thurman's in there. There's a lot of people in here. Dick Anthony Williams is in here, and there is a beautiful African set wedding in there. It talks about basically a woman who is trying to come into her own, and her husband's kind of old-fashioned, and it's really good. I mean, it's such a great film. It's called Five on the Black Hand Side. Give me five on the black hand side. Well, y'all know what that means. That's when you do like this. That's the black hand side. So that's a good film, and that too is on YouTube. Gordon's War. Gordon's War, another classic film. Gordon's War. Four Vietnam vets go to war against drug dealers and pimps of Harlem. Ozzie Davis produced this. Paul Winfield is in here. Carl Lee. And that's the guy who plays Pops on The Rock. And there's a lot of folks in here. This is a really good film. What I loved about this film, see, this is sometimes I'll be in conflict because I grew up with black men like this. Like he sees something wrong in his community and he basically going to war. You know, like we got to do something. These people cannot be in our community. And this is where, you know, even though this is not a true story, but it's kind of like, wow, during this time, I remember black folks being like this during this time for me. I can't speak for nobody else, but I remember black men standing up in our community and saying, not here, basically, not here. That will not happen here. So this is Gordon's War. This is a great film. It was on YouTube and you know the whole thing, but it was like in pieces, like 1, 2, 3, like that. But this is a really good film, and if you get the opportunity, you really should watch it. Gordon's War. The next film is called The Education of Sonny Carson. And this is a film that was out in 1974. It's about a young man coming of age. I think this is either in Chicago or New York. I can't remember. But it's a really good film. I've watched it so long ago, but it's about a young man coming of age. He's struggling, and it's all about gangs and him just trying to live. And when you look at a film like this from 1974, it probably parallels what we're seeing right now. So that's why it's good to see. Another film was called Lord Shango, also was under the name of Color of Love. And this is 1975. A tribal priest returns from the dead to take his revenge on non-believers. So Marlena Clark, that's the sister right there. And the sister that plays her opposite, she's actually 2 years older than Marlena Clark. I didn't know that. But she plays her daughter in this. And it's a really good film. God, I love this film. And this is basically a story of Shango. This was shot in 1975, and this was also shot partly in the Olatunde Village in South Carolina. Who knew that, right? It's a really, really good film. Like, I really love this. I really love this movie because it's a way of talking about, you know, when you lose everything only to get it back in the end. So it's really good. It's called Lord Shango. And sometimes it's under the name Color of Love. Color of Love. So, and I'm gonna recap all of these, but these are films you gotta watch. You gotta watch these films. The next one is MMA, but it's also under Black Sister Revenge. Man, this is a sister who gets off the bus from the deep south to live with her people in LA because her mom dies, and this sister's about that life. That's all I can say. It's kind of like they thought she was like some country girl, but she was about that life. You know what I mean? And so you gotta watch this film. The original name was called MMA, but then they renamed it Black Sister Revenge. And y'all, look, if my sister was on here, she'd be like, Londa, really? I love this film. I love this film. I think it was released in 1976, but it was actually shot in 1974. Black Sister Revenge or MMA. Girl, it's this classic lines from this movie. You have to watch it. Okay, Holo Images. Okay, this is on the YouTube. Loved Holo Images. This was shot in 1979. Sandra Sharp, S. Pearl Sharp, Dick Anthony Williams, Robert Hooks, Morgan Freeman is in there. It was a film that came out on ABC. It's called Holo Images. It's about a black woman who grew up in Harlem, and then she makes her way downtown, and she's made it. But then she had to go back to her community to buy some paintings, and then she realized the community had changed and drugs had took over. And it's really like a story of identity, romance, what must have been like for people who got a chance to climb up that impact. You know, you can watch a lot of these films on the YouTube. Holo Images is on YouTube. So this is a really good movie. Like, look at this Dick Anthony Williams when he's young. This is Robert Hooks. This is Kevin Hooks' dad, y'all. Like, come on, like this is the bomb. So I'm gonna recap this for y'all. Let me start this again real quick. Recap. First film, Uptight. Let me go back. Next film, Nothing But a Man. Next film, The Watermelon Man. The next film, The Bus Is Coming. The next film, Speed Up Time. The next film, The River Niger. The next film, Watch Stats. The next film, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. You can see all of these films on YouTube. I'm just giving y'all 14. There's so many. 5 on the black hand side. What? 5 on the black hand side. Another classic, Gordon's War. Gordon War, directed by Ozzie Davis. Next one, The Education of Sonny Carson. This is a classic. This is classic. Lord Shango, or The Color of Love. It's another one, must see. MMA, which is Black Sister Revenge. And then Holo Images. And what I shared, there's enough films in there for everybody to get some of what they like. But these are films you gotta, you gotta know these films. These films are classic, 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 classic family. So I hope that y'all enjoy seeing these films. Uptight, Nothing But a Man, Watermelon Man, The Bus Is Coming, Speed Up Time, The River Niger, Watch Stats, The Spook Who Sat by the Door, Five on the Black Hand Side, Gordon's War, The Miseducation of Sonny Carson, Lord Shango, MMA, Holo Images. All right, family. There we go. Those are my first 14 films that I'm saying you must watch. I am a Black film fanatic. I'm going to be honest with y'all. That's what kept me company. I didn't listen to gangster rap. No disrespect to anybody that did. That's why you can't tell me what it was like for my people, because you don't know people's stories. This is what I grew up watching, these kind of films when Black folks were loving on each other. Those are the only films I really know, but I watched a little bit of everything. So I'll be back to share some more films with y'all. But I was asked today that, hey, Ro, tell us some films we should be watching. Most of these films you can find on the YouTube. Watch them. You'll love them. And hey, I learned a lot about our people in the time. I love watching films and seeing people when they were young. I love that. I'm like, oh my God, do you know what that is? Like, I really, it's incredible. And it lets us know that we will get old one day. And people will be looking through the area you lived in to see what could have been like in that time. And I always tell people, that's why we have to put our own images out there. So people don't think what we see right now, that that's what was happening with us, when that's probably happening to some of us, but not all of us. So that's what I got from these films. So I hope that you would check out these films. Thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a good night. All right, family. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Peace.